Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Failed-to-Fail Motivational Part-Time Podcast. This is one of my special project podcasts I do in between my other two podcasts whenever I find someone interesting, someone I feel has found success or will find or currently on the trajectory of finding success in hobbies, jobs, different areas of the life that have a high failure rate, or perhaps they found success in their own way. And I first became familiar with this gentleman through someone else's TikTok, not even anybody I follow, just because of the algorithm, how things work. You know, I was heavy into my running training through pandemic and doing my savage races and my other OCRs and this and that. And I came across a TikTok of a gentleman who was, I think, in Central Park, and he was looking for somebody in a run group that he could help train for the New York City Marathon. And I believe he came across you. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. His name was Rob, and he had up this random sign, and it said, wave if you're running the New York City Marathon. And it's funny because after I pulled over and talked to him, he was like, dude, I was out here for like an hour and a half. Nobody was stopping.
And that person is Mr. Shaquille Roberts. Shaquille, how you doing tonight, fella?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Can't wait.
How did that change things for you? I mean, as he said, he's been out there for an hour. We have listeners all around the globe and the world, but depending on where you live, some people are open to strangers talking to them. Some people, some areas of the world aren't. And clearly, that day, Central Park, with all the people running around, that poor guy sat out in the hot sun for an hour. What is it about you and your personality? He said, you know what? I'll take him up on this.
I am just like a go-getter when it comes to things, and something in me was just like, yo, let's just see what he has to say. Like, what's the worst that could happen? Even in the video he stopped me, I kind of was like, oh, it's an easy run, right? Where it's not like a tempo workout or something where I'm like, yo, I got to keep going. I can't stop. So I was just like, what is there to lose? Like, literally, like probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes of my time. And I was just basically like, let me hear what he has to say. Like, I'm open to all thoughts and ideas because I was cramping up during my marathons. So I needed nutritional help for sure.
I was going to get to that here shortly. So prior to you engaging with him or him engaging with you, the two of you getting together, where were you at in your running journey? I guess let's roll back a little bit for our audience. Where did you grow up, and when did running become a thing for you? Because some people dibble-dabble. Maybe their parents made them try out for a sport, and that was one thing they're good at. How did running become part of your life?
Right. So I'll say, honestly, I was born in St. Kitts, and when you're born in the Caribbean, like track and field is like pretty like big. Like it's going to be one of the first sports you play. So I eventually moved on from that when I moved to America, because in America, track and field wasn't that popular at the time. This was probably 2005. And the only popular sports was like football, basketball, baseball. But even baseball and football, they were a little expensive because, you got to buy the equipment, you got to buy bats, you got to buy gloves and things like that. Basketball, you only really need a ball and a hoop.
And a decent pair of shoes helps.
Yeah. And so I ended up picking basketball, and I really did that throughout middle school, throughout high school, and a little bit of college. But I wasn't running at all those years. Strictly.
Don't say you weren't running, because
yeah,
the sideline people who just go out and every once in a while throw from the free throw line or play half court basketball, full court basketball. And being 6'5", I've disappointed everybody in my family. I've never played because I'm horrible at it. And in the gym, they would say, you just stand under the backboard and get the rebounds. So I never played, but I am smart enough to know that is a huge cardio impact. And I'm sure all those years of running up and down the court probably carried over into your cardio and your ability to sustain long distance running as you got into that hobby, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. There's that's why when even training for my first marathon, I told my coach I want to run sub 3, and he's like you're crazy. no one ever runs sub 3 on their first go around. But I'm like, I'm already fit, like I'm already athletic. And later I came to find out that, yeah, a marathon is a different beast.
So when you met him, what was your, sorry, my mouse is dying here. What was your training program prior to you meeting him in Central Park?
It was like a regular 18 to 16 week training program where you probably start out with like 30 miles and probably get up to 60 miles a week. And then you got a rest day and you got a track day, and you just basically modify them as much as you need to. So my issue really wasn't the exercises I was doing. My issue was the fueling. My issue was how much how much sweat I'm sweating, how much salt I'm losing, my recovery as well. This is one thing I want to make very important on this podcast. Recovery is part of the workout. Like, I know you think like you're just gonna do the workout and then I'm done. No, recovery is part of it, because you want to make sure you're as close as to 100% when you work out again. You don't want to work out today and then be at 60%, and then the next workout you're like at 70. Then you don't get the full benefit of the workout. So you want to work out. After you work out, recover, foam roll, stretch.
And that's so hard for runners because let's face it, we don't run because we enjoy running. Running sucks. We run because we enjoy the feeling we have after we run. And so in order to get to the point where you're running 3, 4, 5 times a week, it takes a lot of mental willpower and forcing yourself to do it. And as anybody knows, it takes 21 days to either make a habit or break a habit. And so sometimes you get on that roll where you're wanting to run every day, and you got to tell yourself, slow down, fella. You're going to hurt yourself, And so it's hard. It's hard to do. I often said, what's the first thing a runner says when he gets hit by a car? Shit, I won't be able to run tomorrow. And that's the truth, because once you get in that mindset, that's all you care about. It's like, and you have to recover. And a lot of people who maybe they're doing this for a weight loss thing, right? Or maybe they went to the gym and like I did. When I was 35, I'm going to turn 46 now. When I was 35, 36, I was working 2 jobs. I was working as a computer technician. I worked as a producer of an afternoon radio show. And then sometimes after the show ended at 6, I'd go back to work. So I was drinking like 8 or 9 Mountain Dews a day, a 5-hour energy drink, 3 Monster Whites, and I was playing Xbox on the weekend. My wife and I are playing Call of Duty all the time. And from the age of nothing to 32, I was 6'5", weighed $175, $180. I literally looked like a heroin addict. But after all those years of sitting on my ass, because I just always had a fast metabolism, I could eat whatever I wanted. I skateboarded daily from 2nd grade until I was 21. I snowboarded for 13 years. So I had other ways to burn calories, and then all that stopped. I got older, my metabolism slowed down, the Xbox came in, and these ass jobs. Next thing I knew, I had 2 kidney stones and was looking down the barrel of 240 pounds. And the kidney stones was what did it. I dropped my soda cold turkey. I stopped eating fast food. I'd go to lunch, I'd go to Publix and get shredded lunch meat and cheese, just shred it up, eat it in a bag with a pickle. Greatly reduced. Started going to the gym twice a day. Getting up in the morning, I was hitting it. I lost about 30 pounds, but then I injured myself in the gym. I hurt my elbow, and I just messed myself up. And I got to talk to somebody like, well, try running. Actually, running's better than going to the gym. Gym's to build muscle. You actually lose weight. And so in order to minimize my fear of gaining the weight back, I started running, and that person was right. The weight started falling off. I started running more. And then I actually had to get to the point where I had to remind myself, hey, as you were saying, you can't run every day. You need to recover. But there's also the importance of cross-training. Where do you sit at a cross-training? Are you strictly a runner? Do you fit gym in twice a week? How do you maintain that?
I definitely cross-train, and I also play different sports as well. I still play basketball. So I work out. I want to say I weight lift about twice a week, but I'm always doing something in terms of like increasing my muscle strength, like isos, which you really don't need weights for. You can just hold a lunge for about 30, 45 seconds. Trust me, you think it's nothing, but it's gonna start burning. And I use bands as well, like certain bands. I put them around my ankles, just extend them and like try to keep my muscles active. Even though I'm not weightlifting, I'm still strengthening them in some type of way because you need that.
Have you tooled around with yoga at all?
I have not.
Yoga can be a touchy subject depending on the dude you're talking to. Because some yoga tight pants building, but I'll tell you what. When I was going to the gym all the time, I'm a computer guy. I got a hold of a bootleg copy of P90X. You know what I'm saying? So I had this bootleg copy of P90X, and I had it on a laptop. And because with my computer company, we would do trade shows from time to time, I had this projector. So I'd set this thing up in my garage in hot-ass Florida, 90 degrees outside means it's 110 in my garage. And the projector's making the room hotter because it was old school, not the LED. But I had a 6-foot tall image of P90X on my wall. So it was like being in a class. And so I would do that P90X as well. But part of that was the P90X stretch. And it was a mix between Pilates and yoga. And I started doing that. And I will tell you, try it. Just one day pull up. You can go on YouTube right now and find dude, just do the basic stuff. Just the bends, Warrior 1, Warrior 2, upper dog. It stretches your quads. Like, that's why you ever show up at 10K and like you got the weird people over there by the stage they have like a yoga class going on. It actually helps. So if you find, especially on one of your recovery days, your quads are a little tight, or maybe you get that little twinge in your back, or maybe your shoulders, because huffing that water, well, you wear a hydro vest now, but your shoulders and your arms do get tired from that constant movement. Try some basic entry level yoga. You'll be surprised on how that stretching on your off days will actually help your run, and it'll go. And plus, as you get older, it'll help you maintain the ability to run. So,
oh yeah, for sure. I've like been telling myself like, Shaq, you need to try this thing because like it's like I've been getting tighter and tighter as the years go on, and it's like the regular. Excuse me. The regular stretching before running you need more than that.
I'm about to blow your mind. You ready for this?
You got the stats for me?
Achilles' Hope Impossibility. Was that one of your first races that you ran?
Oh, no. So that was that the 5K or the 4K?
That's June 26, 2022. Your run time was 30 minutes and 20 seconds. So yes, it was a 5K.
Yeah. Yes.
Look at you, Mr. I'm running 8:29 like training paces on TikTok, and then you go and lay down 7:35s. How are you running? You're a young cat. I think at my prime, I didn't start running until I was in my 30s. Despite being in high school, my English teacher wanted me to run, but I was too busy skateboarding and snowboarding. I didn't want to be one of those cats. I think at my prime at 36, my fastest pace ever was on an exercise run. I think I hit 7:20. You ran a 7:35 in your first registered race.
That was my first ever race. Interesting enough, I started running like literally 2 months before that, and I was like, I need to see what it feels like to actually race because I was getting that itch. I'm like, all right, I've been running for 2 months now. Like, I need to see what's the big hype about. So I just put myself randomly into that race, and honestly, I really tried my best. I was like, all right, let me put a good step forward. But I'm shocked you looked that up.
I'm disappointed in you. I'm going to tell you how I know all your stats, and I'm disappointed in you that you ain't claimed these.
Right now, I would dust him. No.
Your first race, only running 2 months. You finished 636 out of 3,513 people on your first 5K, doing it on a let's see what happens, fellas. Like, dude, that is tremendous for your first race. Even at your age, I mean, and once again, you're not running in like where I live in Cape Coral, Florida, or Grass Lakes, Iowa. You're in effing New York City, where there's 3,513 people running in this particular little 5K. To finish 636 in your first race, that is great. That is such a good job.
Thank you.
And then you followed that up. You got the bug, right? I always tell people when they run their first race, I say, you know what's going to happen? You're going to finish that shit, and 2 hours later, you're going to be on the internet looking for your next race to register for.
You are going to go broke looking at these races.
So you went from a 5... See, I at least went 5K, 10K, and then I started doing Savage races in 2019. I did one of them, and then 2020 came, pandemic happened, they canceled it, and dude, I went all in. You know, I'm older. I was a friend of mine who lives here locally was an American Ninja Warrior. So he had a ninja, Morgan Moose Wright, the guy who wore the moose hat. He's the gym teacher down the street from me. He had a ninja gym in his backyard, so I'm over there working on my grip strength and doing static. So I was running, I was doing that, going to the gym. Pandemic came. They canceled it. Crazy thing is the local Southwest Florida regional physicians group was still holding a half marathon. So I went down there and ran a half marathon on no training. I signed up for a week before. I did all right. I was running 9-minute miles, but I think I already ran like 4 or 5 5Ks. I think I ran a 10K and at least one Savage race. You went from a 5K to the Brooklyn half marathon in May of 2020. Actually, no, 2023, May 20th of 2023.
Yeah.
And let's look at these stats. Once again, they are either 20. You got a very consistent pace. You're 7:26 pace. You finished at 137:19. Now this was a half marathon. There was a lot more people. 13,596. You finished 2,293. But in men, you're 429 out of 2,100 people in your age group. So you're still finishing, top quarter. And that's only your second race. How did you train for that?
Just basically trying to improve my time in terms of endurance, because what you will notice is like your muscles will fail before your cardiovascular health. Like you will get like ankle pains or knee pains or hamstring pains and things like that before you're like fully out of breath, where you like, damn, I can't breathe, like I have to stop. So I basically was just trying to get in as much hills. I was trying to get in as much like speed work as possible, just trying to strengthen my legs as much as possible, because I noticed that was one of my weaknesses, where it's like my legs really can't really go the distance. Like they break down.
Well, one of the things you pointed out twice, and it's so important, and I didn't really learn about it until my second Savage race, because I'm doing these Savage races. I'm like, why are my hands cramped? Now, Savage races, they're 7-mile trail races, but they got the walls, and a lot of monkey bars, a lot of grip strength. And I'm like, my hands are like seizing up. I'm like, what the hell is my hands seizing up? So before my I think this was actually before my third race, I started looking into it, and it's lactic acid buildup. And it was because, as you were saying, with your cramps in your ankles and your calves, when people start running, they don't think about nutrition. They don't think about, as you were saying, how much I'm sweating. You're supposed to refuel about every half hour. And a lot of people don't consider this. They don't consume high amounts of hydration before the race, right? They might walk around with a Gatorade and just, I'll get at the first water station. Well, by then, your lactic acid's building up. But what I found out is hydration, pre-race hydration is huge. You got to get that pre-race hydration, which I get it. If I pre-race hydrate, I got to urinate. Well, deal with that. That's part of running,
It's part of it, right?
So pre-race hydrate, pre-race gel, getting up, drinking a coffee, eating a bagel, and then heading down the race, unless you're doing a 5K, is not going to cut it. It is tremendous to get your nutrition. And it took me... I already ran all these 5Ks, but 3 miles. My nightly run, even before I took a year off because of injury. I'm sure you're the same way. If you have an addictive personality, my nightly runs are 3 miles. If a short night for me is a mile and a half. If I'm like, I work 12 hours, I'm beat up. I never run less than a mile and a half. And so running 5Ks is just, to me, running a 5K race, a registered one, is just a reason subconsciously to justify all the 5Ks I ran through the week. It's like, this is fun. Let's see how I rank amongst people.
Right.
But so when you first get into it, you don't ever consider hydration, because unless you actually look for nutrition and running, it doesn't come up a lot in people's get the first time runner videos. They usually talk about shoes, maybe recovery, and not going out too fast. They very rarely talk about the things we just mentioned.
Literally, all I was thinking about was whatever my coach puts on paper, that's all I got to do, and I'm going to be all right. That's all I was thinking about. I was like, if he say run 10 miles today, and I run to 10, and I feel okay after, that's all I got to do, and I'll be fine. But it's so much deeper. It's so much more than that. So
Shaq and I are going to give you all a hint. There's plenty of ways to do this, but the affordable way I found out to do it was through somebody else's TikTok, somebody I've had on the show who's ran multiple Ironmans, and that is the Gatorade sweat patch. If you guys don't know what that is, Google Gatorade sweat patch. I think they're on sale for like $7 a piece. You order 1 or 2 of them before you run. You don't have to. I'm kind of first one I did fell off, so the second one I shaved a little spot on my forearm to get the hair off there. You put it on your forearm before you go running. You wait 20 minutes and get a nice stick, and then you go run. I think they say the max amount of time is maybe an hour, 2 hours. You have to read the instructions, but what it does, it's almost like a pH strip, but they made it all cool and designed. And as you run, there's 2 little holes on the back. It almost looks like a snake bite, and your sweat goes through those holes, and they work their way around. And when it's done, because it makes this little diagram, almost like a rudimentary Corgi code almost. When you're done, you take a picture with the Gatorade app, and it'll tell you how much you're sweating. Well, first and foremost, you have to track. And perfect way of doing this, Shaq has one, I have one. Get a hydration vest or get water bottles that have the measurements on it, because part of the sweat test, they want to know how old you are, what was the weather, what was the temperature, and how much liquids did you consume. And so you put all this in there, and it'll calculate, and it'll tell you, okay, you're sweating X amount during this time, and you need to consume this much water during this many runs. And so you can start looking into this, and you can figure out, well, if I'm sweating out this much liquid, I need to maintain this much liquid. And another important thing people don't talk about, salt sticks. If you're running in Florida, California, hot-ass New York, do not underestimate the value of a salt stick. It'll help keep that liquid in you. And even if you're just wanting to, you guys are hardcore. You guys are running 7-minute miles. Trust me, I'm 46. I ain't running 7-minute miles anymore. But regardless of how slow you're running, you don't want to feel like shit after your run. And the reason you feel like shit after your run is you're dehydrated and your nutrition is through the floor. And so if you want, running hurts. We all know this. But if you want to minimize the hurt and minimize the hangover, if you will, you do that through nutrition and hydration and salt.
Right. I just want to add that one part of the recovery too is making sure you're not depleting yourself totally during these runs, because that's part of it too. Like if you go on a little 4-mile run, 5-mile run, you should be taking some type of sodium, some type of salt, some type of electrolytes. That way, when you're done with the run, you're not fully depleted. Your body's like, oh, we ran for a run, but we're fine. We're not dehydrated. So that helps with recovery too.
Yeah, when you get done the run, your legs can be sore, but like if you're going home and passing out, like you're like done, like you just felt like you just drank for 6 hours, that's because your nutrition's off balance, and you really need to focus on that.
For sure.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you though, when did you realize like nutrition was important for you?
Like I said, it was like when I do all this training. You know, I go out and run 3 miles. I'll do push-ups. The other thing about running, and even if you're doing OCR, you have to accept the fact that people are going to think you're effing crazy, and you just have to not care. If you care what people think about you, that running is not for you. My daughter's like, hey, I want to go. We went running last night. I did a mile with her, then I went out and did another 5. And it's 8:30 at night. She comes out wearing all black. I'm like, no kid. It's dark outside. We live in a side of town where we rarely have street lights. Go put on a white shirt. Meanwhile, I got green and white camo shorts. I got a pink and blue fishing shirt on. And I'm like, I'm not here to match. I'm here to be seen. And not because I want to be, I just don't want to get ran over. I got flashing lights on my running belt and everything else. I got headlamps on.
You got the reflector gear.
Where we live 5 years ago, a Lee County sheriff accidentally ran over a kid on the way to school, and bicycle in elementary school because we have no sidewalks and very little lighting. And plus, right now it's all construction. So I light myself up the best I can. But as I was saying earlier, I'm that a-hole that's walking up and down the street with a 5-gallon bucket full of marbles that weighs 90 pounds training for these OCR events. I got 40-pound sandbags. I'm running. I'm sure my neighbors think I'm maybe a terrorist. I'm running around with a plate carrier with 18-pound plates in them. You know, they look like bulletproof vests. I'm doing all that stuff, but I'm only doing 3 or 4 miles, and I'm doing occasional push-ups and trying. I still can't do pull-ups. But to answer your question, it's when I'm running 3 miles and I'm already jumped over 5 or 6 walls and crawling through mud and done monkey bars that all of a sudden I'm running like I'm 90 years old with arthritis. I'm like, why are my hands seizing up? Why can I? And it was all because I would wake up, I would stay at a hotel, wake up, get coffee, grab a water, head down there and just walk around looking at stuff and then go run. I wasn't drinking 2 or 3 bottles of Gatorade.
You burned off the water just walking around.
Yeah, I wasn't eating gels. I wasn't doing any of that. I don't know if you're familiar with a gentleman named Vinny Tortorich. He's a longtime physical. He's a fitness guru to the stars. He's Howie Mandel's fitness guy. He been doing it for years. His wife is literally a Bond girl. She was in a James Bond movie. He just put out his 3rd documentary on. It's called Dirty Keto. He's talking about how, you know, keto slapped on everything nowadays. You know, it's not ketogenic. He's done Fat the Documentary 1 and 2. I had him on my podcast, and he's the creator of No Sugar, No Grains, which you may have heard of. It's the diet that you literally no sugar, no grains, just pretty much red meat, vegetables, eat whatever you want that doesn't have sugar or grains in it. Well, he puts out a product called NSNG's Nut Butter, and it's a mix of coconut oil and pure peanut butter, and that's what he uses for his long-distance bike rides and canoe trips and all that, because the problem with the gels is they have a lot of sugar in them. And so, part of the reason he got into the no sugar, no grains is 17 years ago, he was diagnosed with cancer. And he had to go through chemotherapy. They gave him 5 years to live. He got off the sugars, got off the grains. 17 years later, he's now 72. Cancer finally came back, but he was supposed to have died 5 years ago. 12 years ago. And so he knew that cancer builds strength off of sugars. And so he couldn't exactly be eating these sugar-based gels, and so he came up with this nut butter stuff that he made himself in his kitchen, but later on, after he started a company, he started putting that out, and so after I had him on my show, I ordered some, and so after I started discovering the problem with my hands, the very next Savage race I did, I had like 2 of his nut butters with me, I drank like 3 bottles of Gatorade, I had a good breakfast, I walked around, got some gels, I had my run belt with me. After mile 3, I started doing the in-race nutrition.
You got to go in.
Still decent ranking. It's an open way for me. But at the end of the day, I wasn't cramped. I made it through the entire race without the cramps. I wasn't getting the leg cramps. Because running 7 miles is easy. Running 7 miles, being 6'5", it comes in handy. Climbing over an 8-foot wall. Well, guess what happens when you throw your calf up over that wall when you haven't had good hydration? Do you want to say Charlie horse in the middle of a 7-mile race? Once your calf makes contact with that wall, it's like someone just smacked you with a towel. Your foot kind of does that weird thing like that. And so after 2 races of dealing with that, the 3rd race, I was like, oh, it's all nutrition. It's all hydration and in-run nutrition.
Right.
And even when I show up to a 5K, I would still come with a water bottle. A lot of people rely on the water stations. And that's great. 5Ks are short, but I'm also a believer in run how you train. So if I'm running, I did a 15K trail race, finished 3rd in my age group. Not a whole lot of people in my group entered, but hey, that's not on me. That's on them for staying home. And then prior to that, I did a 5K, and because I just got back into running. I took a year off. But anyhow, I run as I train. So even though I'm training with 5K, why is this guy wearing 2 water bottles? It's only 3 miles. Because that's how I train. You don't want to change up your habits on random day because your body's used to having the weight of 2 water bottles, or if you run with a water bottle in your right hand, now you're not running with a water bottle, your equilibrium's off. You want to train how you run and run how you train. Hands down.
Right. I do not trust the gels they have at these races. Like the gels I've been taking, those are the ones I'm bringing. And as far as like the water station goes, you have to know your measurements. Like for me, I know every 20 to 25 minutes, I need about 8 ounces of liquids, and I'm not going any more than that because I know sometimes my stomach gets slushy. Some people may say, oh, I don't like to take it when I'm running because my stomach get too slushy. It's like too much water. It's like you gotta figure out what you should be sipping on. You should never want to try to drink a whole bottle of water within 1 mile. You never want to do that. You should be sipping on it throughout the whole mile while you're running, just sipping on it, and really figure out what works for you. Because quite frankly, some people that have been training for a long time or don't have a lot of muscle, that's another thing you got to take into consideration too. Some people don't have that much muscle, and their body, it just runs more fluidly. But me, I have a lot of muscle, so
I wasn't ignoring it. Somebody was pounding on my front door, and I was checking my route. For some reason, there's somebody at my door, but my wife's talking to me, so that's why I was looking at my phone. But yeah, no, I agree. Everybody's body's different too, and that's why that's the importance of training. You know, you need to train your nutrition before you go run, because once again, you can't just go off based off someone else's. I'm 6'5", 230 pounds. My nutritional needs aren't going to be the same as yours.
Right, absolutely not.
And just like when people say, well, hey, Shaq, how many miles do you get on your shoes? Well, once again, I'm 6'5", 230. I guarantee I'm going to get less miles on my shoes because I'm a heavier dude than you are.
Right.
And you're going to get less miles on your shoes than that 105-pound girl, you know?
Girl, right.
And so everything's different, and you have to set everything up for yourselves and get it all sorted out. My answer is I get about 230. And then I start getting shin splints and bad ankles because at my weight, my gait, my soles of my shoes start breaking down around 230 miles. If I was a 5'4", 98-pound girl, I could probably get 500 miles out of a pair of shoes. It's all different depending on who you are and how big you are and what your size and your gait is. Everything's different.
Right. And it's just like your goals, right? Where like we all have different goals. Like you said, right? Where you finished third in your age group, and it's like some people I just want to finish the race. I just want to cross the line.
So my first race was in 2019, and it was the Publix, which is the grocery store, Run for the Arts. My pace at then was 9:52, and then I ran a bunch of races, and then I got injured in 2021, and life took a change. So I ran no registered races, and I finally started running again. And the Publix Run for the Arts came back around. I'm like, okay, well, because that was the first one I ever ran, I'm going to run that one again. So I just ran that one again in February of 2024. Came third place in my age group. But I only lost 2 minutes on my pace. I ran 11:32. But the reason my pace took such a hit is because that 3 years of not running, I gained almost all that weight back. So at my prime, when I started running, I was going to the gym once a day. I was going to the gym like 3 times a week plus running 4 times a week. At 6'5", I got down to 207 pounds. And that's when I was able to run like a 7-minute mile and all that. My fastest race, it looks like, and I'm going to tell you after the show how I was able to get all your information, because I'm disappointed in you, sir. You haven't claimed any of your times. My fastest race was in 2020, the Thanksgiving Day 5K. I did an 8-minute pace, and I was 5th place in my age group. And so, but yeah, for those of you at home, if you don't know, and this is where I'm getting his how are you not on Athlinks, fella?
I'm not.
I sent you the link. I sent you the link. Sign up through your Facebook or whatever. I sent you all your times. Just claim them all. That way you can go back and look at your times. That's how I'm able to tell you all your stuff.
Right. I usually just rely on Strava, but I know Strava be off sometimes.
Well, Athlinks is nothing but registered races. And if you do a regional race that's not in there, you can send them the website link and they'll add it. Like, right, here's a perfect example. I wanted to ask you about this. So you did the London Marathon on April 21st, right?
Yeah.
Did 3:29. There you are, the 7-minute pace, 7:59.
Yes.
That's a lot of damn people. That's a lot of damn men. You finished 7,987. Like, wow, Don, that's not. No, there was 30,999 people, dudes, in that race. So out of 30,999, you finished 797. But I noticed something, Mister 8 miles, 29-second fun run paces. You run all of your races. You ran a 7:59. But then this happened. The Bronx run, you hit a 10:21. And I'm like, wait a minute. How is he going from an 8-minute pace to a 7-minute pace? And then I looked at the dates. You didn't give yourself a big enough gap. You ran the London Marathon in April 21. And then on May 4th, you go out and run the Bronx. You probably thought you gave yourself enough recovery time after that marathon, but clearly not, right? I mean, you lost 3 minutes on your
See,
pace.
the thing is with the Bronx run, I think I posted about this too. The Bronx run, I actually did it with some students from the Bronx.
Oh, okay.
Burns,
so they slowed you down.
Yeah, so
see, that's good on you though, because I'm such a competitor. Like, I know, like, if I would ever, all my races I've done by myself, except for like 2 my wife did. But sorry, honey, you're on your own. But her first 5K, she podiumed. She went home with a beer mug. So her first race, she podiumed. But I'm like, hey, there's no friends on race day, so good on you for slowing down your time to run with your crew.
Yeah, I was actually just how should I say, chaperoning. I was like one of the kids. It was like their first race too. So she was like, Shaq, can you run with me? Can you pace me? And I was like, sure.
You have to kill my time.
No one's watching. I really thought no.
Everybody's watching. Was that for the Odyssey House?
Yes. So the Odyssey House did run with them too. But I think it was the Bronx Community College that actually hosted the run.
Let's talk about gear real quick. What's your current shoe? What are you running in?
New Balance.
Are you a single shoe guy, or are you one of these cats who rotate your shoes between every other run and keep your body guessing?
So I am a single shoe guy, but lately I have been swapping out because there's been like new study coming out saying that different shoes strengthen different muscles, and you got to know, like, this is where like running gets complicated, right? Where you have max cushion shoes, and then you have like regular daily trainers, and then you have like the ones with the carbon plate that everybody loves. And
those are
which I think
I'm not in the tax bracket for those. But I'm seeing these YouTube videos. I got these Adidas marathon shoes. They cost $5,000 and they're only good for 2 races. Like, nah, I'm good.
Right. I need to get my money's worth out of my shoes. But yeah, I mainly stick to one shoe that like I get comfortable with, and right now it's the New Balance 1080s. I have ran the Asics in the past, the Gel Cayano 30s, which that was the first time I ever got like my feet ever scanned, and I found out that I had flat feet. No surprise there. And they said I needed to get the wide version of the shoe. But the thing with the wide version is it just feels so clunky, and like I just wasn't getting no return from them.
They're hard to find unless you wide shoes. Like my poor daughter has wide feet, and like trying to get her shoes for prom or whatever was a damn nightmare. But they do have some wide shoes available in running shoes and things like that. But you have a less selection when you are actually looking for a wider shoe.
Right.
And then if you're wearing like a size 14, forget about it.
Oh yeah, you're I don't even know how you get it anyway.
As a parent, as somebody, a good portion of my finances is spoken for by third parties, and so I've been balling on a budget for all these years. And so for the longest time, I was buying Saucony's on Amazon, and I was having pretty good.
I love Saucony's.
I get them on Amazon, getting like $80 ones. I'm thinking, oh, these are last year's models. These are fine. And then I started walking at lunch before it started getting hot. I was walking 2 miles at lunch, and I started stopping by my run shoes, and they would have their Brooks and their Saucony's on sale. And I picked up a pair of Guide 15s, and I noticed, I was like, these insoles look different. One, they have writing on them, and two, they're ergonomic. So I went home and I started looking at all these Saucony's I've been buying on Amazon. Every pair of them had generic, blank, flat insoles in them.
Oh my god!
I'm like, this is weird. And I just bought a pair of Trail 15s for the 15. I finally did my first 15K registered trail race, and I got those on Amazon for like $80. Once again, I'm just thinking they're last year's models, and I noticed they were blank. And so I'm a member of the Facebook group called the Facebook Slow as Fuck Run group because it's for us older people. And so I took a picture of it and I said, do me a favor, all you Saucony owners, take a picture of your insoles. And even if they're old, you can see where they used to have some silk screen on them. And then I said, if you bought them at the store, let me know if you bought them on Amazon. And everybody who bought theirs at the store had some sort of printing on them, and they were a little ergonomic. And so I called Saucony. I'm like, do you sell factory seconds? They're like, no. And I was like, well, I just noticed I have like 5 pair of Saucony's. Every one of them that I bought on the internet have blank soles on them. But I bought my daughter's trail running shoes at a store shoe, and I went and looked. Hers had writing on the inside. I looked at my trail shoes, same model that I bought on Amazon that I did all my OCR, blank generic insole. I just recently went to the shoe store, and they had a pair of what I'm running in now, the Saucony Freedom Cross Sports, which are fantastic shoes, by the way. They had them marked down to like $80. Once again, they got ergonomic, printed, and so I'm trying to do some research. I'm going to do a YouTube video on his, because they come in the boxes, they have the Q code on them, they look like Saucony's, but it's like, why do every one of these have like this generic ass insole in it? It's weird. I haven't figured out what it is, but yeah, I'm currently running in the Freedom Cross Sports, which great shoe. I love it. It's super light. It actually, once again, it has an ergonomic insole. My supports are feeling a lot better than when I run on my other.
Hey, it makes a big difference. I'm telling people, it makes a big difference. I can't like really explain it because you just got to feel it. You're going to be like, wow.
Well, you hinted to it earlier. You said, didn't play football. Equipment costs too much. Didn't play, other sports. You played basketball because all you needed was a ball and a decent pair of shoes. And everyone's like, oh, running's cheap. No. Running is the cheapest sport. You need nothing. Yeah.
Listen, let me tell you, this Garmin right here ran me over $600.
Which one is that?
The 965.
Now, I have my Garmin 735 XT. This thing I bought 6 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I charge it once every 4 days. My wife had a Garmin, but she fell to the peer pressures of all her friends. She wanted an Apple Watch. I got her an Apple Watch for Christmas. If she doesn't charge that every single day when she's in the shower, the battery lasts like fucking 13 hours. My 6-year-old Garmin's still pumping strong. But it's so if you're going to do this a lot, you need a good watch. When I first started running, I had a Fitbit. Fitbit was kind of like the thing you got into when you're first starting to work out. Right. Now, granted, I just said I've had this for 6 years. Maybe Fitbit has changed their technology, but what I found when I started running with run groups, everybody had Garmin's and other higher-end watches, and when they hit their mile, okay, we're going to run 4 miles and take a break. They'd all stop, and I had to run like another 60 yards because my Fitbit wasn't accurate. What I discovered was, and they may have changed it, but 6 years ago, Garmin tracks your steps using GPS and satellite. Fitbit calculates, and they use the word step as a unit of measurement, but it's actually based off of your hand movement. So if you do this with a Fitbit, that's 8 steps. And so I was driving for a living, and I'm a one-handed driver. I was coming home with like 20,000 steps. I got my Garmin, it quickly dropped down to 10. So my runs didn't change, my walks didn't change, my job, only thing that changed was the Fitbit. Well, because Fitbit says steps, but that's a unit of measurement. And like if you go to the grocery store and move your arm, like, wow, there's 300 steps. You could sit in a recliner and do this, and then, oh, cool, I hit my... And so, yeah, Fitbit's a good way to start tracking, but if like you're going to run, swim, or whatever, Garmin is the way to go. But, yeah.
No, I agree 1,000%. And like I said, the cost ain't cheap because you then have to buy like electrolytes and things like that. You also have to buy like, I like being comfortable when I'm running, so you got to buy some running gear.
Well, let's talk about your drip. I saw you're talking about people coming to your DM talking about your drip and not giving you a ranking. Back to my previous thing about not caring what people think. When I first started running, you may have been the same way. Oh, I was out there in a pair of basketball shorts, and a T-shirt, right? Because I was overweight, still uncomfortable with my body. First time you run 3 miles, you come back and you feel like you got a beach towel wrapped around you because that cotton shirt just gets soaked in sweat. The basketball shorts now weigh 5 pounds. They're hanging off your ass. And so as I started to lose weight and get more comfortable with my body, a year into it, I'm out there in like 5-inch inseam shorts, a running belt, a pair of shoes, and a hat. I'm like, if I could run naked, I would, because
I would, for real.
Because you never realize, like on cheap clothing, like the wear points, like why? How come I got this rash underneath? Oh, it's because I ran in that stupid T-shirt yesterday.
Right.
And so unless you're going to run in just a pair of shorts, a good pair of socks and shoes, if you still want to cover yourself up, then you have to invest in more expensive running gear because the stitching is designed not to wear on you. You
won't shave. Like, it's certain things that just makes it more difficult if it's not designed for running.
Okay, if you got delicate sensibilities, your kids are in the car, you may want to save this part until they're gone. We're going to go a little locker room talk here because here's something else, especially for the dudes, that people don't talk about. And I learned this the hard way. Ask me how I was able to walk after my first half marathon in Florida heat. There's this thing that happens in your thighs if you're a dude when you have equipment tucked down there. If you're getting into running, go to your local run shop, go on Amazon. It looks like a stick of deodorant. It's called body butter. Put this on your inner thighs. Maybe wax your car up a little bit if you know what I mean. And you will never have to worry about the diaper rash that you will get if you don't use any sort of lube. The first time you go out and run anything over 8 miles, you will get a rash down there. And for the next 4 days, you're going to walk like you just got done doing a rodeo because people are embarrassed to talk about that stuff, right?
Right.
You have to, don't do Vaseline.
You just got to do what you got to do.
Just buy body butter. It's like $4 a stick. You can get it at the run shop and it works perfect. And you're going to save not only your post run, but like when you get to mile 15, you're like, oh God. Now I've only ran a half marathon, but my longest run ever was 16 and a half miles. So I've gotten close to the marathon miles, but yeah, you have to, that's another one of those things you have to take care of and you want to get going. What kind of running vest are you using? I saw you just, that's a new acquirement. At least that's a new, start showing up in your videos.
Is the salmon one. And I use it because it has like a nice pouch in the back where I carry my like equipment or like my tripod or my microphones or whatever. And it comes with 2 16-ounce water bottles. So that's perfect for me. Like most of the time I only carry 1 water bottle because I'm probably going on like a 6-mile run or so. But if I'm getting up into the ranges like 15 and 18, you definitely going to need both 16 ounces, and it doesn't chafe, like it doesn't really bother me that much until I get to like 22 maybe, and I have to like apply some some of the butter like you said.
My first running vest I bought was off Amazon. It was cheap. I bought an NXO. It's INOXTO. It's some Korean thing, and it did all right, but it was kind of small. Once again, I'm 6'5", 230. I'm a bigger fella. And so I ran that for a while, and I kind of figured out what I liked and I didn't like. And then I picked up the Nathan's Vapor Air 2, the 7-liter, which I got off of Amazon. And now, I made a mistake. I got the expanded size because since the other one was kind of small, Nathan's has a one-size-fits-most and then expanded. I'm like, well, this one was already too small. I don't want to buy another one that's too small, so I bought the expanded. The expanded fits, but the problem is I'm at the low end of the expanded. So even when I tighten it all the way down, it's still a little loose. So if you guys are thinking about getting a Nathan's, just go with the one size fits most, and if it don't fit, then send it back. But I love this thing. Like yours, it has the 2 verticals. It has the water pouch in the back, so if I am going on a long run, it has a few pockets in it. It's quick dry. It has reflective material on it. And so I like that a lot. So I've been running that. Russell brand running shorts, believe it or not. I found at Walmart years ago, and now they don't carry them. It's so funny. When I was growing up and back in the 80s and 90s, Champion was considered crap. You bought Champions at Kmart and JCPenney. Somehow during the pandemic, people started wearing Champion. Now that shit's cool and in vogue. But believe it or not, Believe it or not,
But it amazes me every time how like all these like I want to say like Payless brands, but like
well,
all
that's what they
these
were.
like
That's exactly what they were. They were basically they were out before and ones were. You know what and ones
right.
were. You know the kids who couldn't afford the Jordans, they got and ones. Well, that's what Champion was in the '90s. You know, you had Nike, Adidas, Saucony, Ubu made soccer clothing, and then for the lower income kids who shopped at Kmart and JCPenney, it was Russell and Champion. But anyhow, I found a pair of Russell shorts at Walmart's, and I bought 3 or 4 pairs of them. Now I can't find them anywhere. I'm like looking online. I'm like reaching out to Russell, like, yo, what happened to these shorts? They're 5-inch inseams. They're drawstrings. They have the flat waistband. They don't have that crumpled. I don't like the crumpled waistband for the elastic because like when you have like a running belt on there, it doesn't fit right. I love these damn shorts, but I can't find them anywhere. And so that's what I'm into. I have a topic I want to get into because you're the perfect person to talk about it. But real quick, are you familiar with the Barkley Marathon? This year it finally made like mainstream headlines, but prior to this year, are you familiar with the Barkley Marathon at all?
What city is it?
It's in Tennessee. Here's your YouTube homework, and if you've got an addictive personality, I'm just gonna give you a heads up. It's been going on for here. I want to give you the correct stats. This year was the first time a woman has ever finished it. Barkley Marathon. Let me go to Wikipedia real quick. Give you the synopsis. I became aware of this when I was watching YouTube videos, and I came across a documentary called "Where the." It's like something like where the race that kills you or something. The Barkley Marathons. The Barkley Marathon is an ultra marathon race held each year in the Frozen Head State Park in Morgan County, Tennessee. The course, which varies from year to year, consists of 5 loops up to 20 miles off-trail course for a total of 100 miles. The race is limited to 60-hour periods and from the start of the first loop and takes place in March or early April each year. The race is known for its extreme difficulty and many some crazy ass word that my ass can't pronounce. The Barkley Marathon course was the brainchild of Gary Lazarus Lake Cantrell and his friend. The idea of the race was inspired upon hearing about the 1977 escape of James Earl Ray. You familiar with him?
No.
James Earl Ray.
Guessing he was a convict that escaped.
He was the asshole who shot Martin Luther King.
Oh.
He escaped from the Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. Ray covered only about 12 miles after running 54.5 hours. So he ran 54 hours in the woods and only ran 5 miles, hiding from the air searches during the day. Cantrell said to himself, I could do at least 100 miles in those woods. And so that's where they came up with the idea for this race. And part of the race, you actually run through the drainage sewers underneath that prison. But here's the crazy thing about this race, right? There's no entry forms. There's no websites to sign up. You have to know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. And you have to send a letter to sign up. If you get accepted, they send you a letter of condolences, apologizing for the fact that you're going to have to run this son of a bitch. So they tell you when to show up on the weekend, but they don't tell you the start time. There's no start. You have to camp out. 2 hours before the race starts, they blow a conch shell. And so it could start at 3 in the morning. It could start at noon. Right. You have no idea. So you usually have to have a crew there. So if you're sleeping at night and they blow this conch shell, somebody can come wake you up. Right. After they blow the conch shell, the race itself is started by the lighting of the ceremonial cigarette. Tell me another marathon you know that's lit by a cigarette. This race has been going on. The very first race started, I think, 15 years ago.
Damn, they've been doing it for 15 years.
Let's see, 1988, blah, blah, blah. When was the first one? I want to make sure I have this right. I think it's been going on 15 years, and only like 18 people's ever finished it. There is no map. There's one single map. When you show up, you have to make your own version of the map.
So one person a year, basically.
Well, this year was the first time a woman finished it. And,
That's crazy.
And so when you're running this, and there's no map. They give you a map to look at, and you have to make your own. You have to draw your own map. No technology allowed. So no GPS, nothing. I think you can have a smartwatch just to track yourself. And how they make sure you ran the race is there's books hidden throughout the woods at checkpoints, and you have to pull the page.
Checkpoints.
So if your bib number is 435, you have to pull out page 435 from all the books out there. And then every time you finish a lap, they count the pages. And then at the beginning of the next lap, they give you a new bib because obviously you've already pulled those pages, so those pages won't exist anymore. One year, I forget the guy's name. Everybody else had dropped out of the race because it's timed. Mm-hmm. One guy was left. He lost the race by 5 seconds because he got lost because he was so tired.
Oh my!
In 2024, two guys and a woman won it in 2023. One of the guys who won lost in 2022. His fatigue was so bad. He was hallucinating so bad. He was picked up by a cop in a town 10 miles away. He was talking to a trash can thinking it was a woman asking for directions.
Oh my God.
Do yourself a favor. Just go on YouTube, look up Barkley Marathon, and watch these documentaries. You want to talk about...
This one sounds nuts.
And they're running through the woods. They come back. Their legs are all torn up from running through thorns. It's the most insane race.
There's ones that I would try. Like there's one documentary called like Last Man Standing, and it's like
those are
like a 2 mile or 3 mile loop.
Yeah, they're called backyard marathons. They're based off of Barkley. You should look into those. Yeah. Those would be interesting for you.
And it's crazy because it's just like you just see the will of people. Like it just start with about maybe 200, 300 people, and then by the time the night dust is in, they're down to 15 people, and then even after that, you don't even sleep because like I think it's every like 30 minutes or 40 minutes you gotta get up and go do another loop. Get up and do another loop. So
and then what happens is you get down to 2 people, and it gets down to 2 people, and it's a slugfest. And then when it gets down to one person, that one person has to run one more lap before he wins.
Right, by themselves.
No Yeah, the video's called Barkley Marathon, the race that eats its young. Oh, you know the best part? You know what the entry fee is for the Barkley Marathon if you were lucky enough to get chosen?
What?
$1 and a license plate. So the guy's not even doing it to get rich. Most of these marathons are $200-$300. You know, it's $1 and a license plate, or one year was $1 and a buttoned-up white T-shirt. Like he looks at, I could use some socks, so it's $1 and a pack of socks. Like he just changes it every year. It's the most anti-race race ever, and it's just the people who do it are just so hardcore. And it's the same way. And every other lap rotates. So if you do the lap 1's clockwise, lap 2's counterclockwise. Mm-hmm. And so it's constantly changing. So yeah.
Oh my God. So her name was Jasmine. I think I've seen something about this.
Let me ask you.
That's crazy.
How, when you started running long distances, how did your contemporaries, what was their thoughts and opinions on it?
Very encouraging at first, but then it became my lifestyle, right? So then Shaq wasn't staying out as long. Shaq wasn't getting drunk with us every Thursday and every Friday anymore.
Especially Cat your age.
I had to do a long one on Saturday. So that dynamic kind of changed a little bit where my lifestyle really wasn't matching what like some of my friends were doing most of the time, but they definitely respected it though, and they show up to my races all the time. Like any race I have, like some of them are gonna fly out to Chicago to come support me all the way from New York.
Well, the reason I ask, and I've heard this mentioned before, and I've looked into it, and I don't have to tell you, long distance running is definitely a white man sport. And
Sure.
it's making a change. But here's an interesting article I read, and that's why I said you're the perfect person to ask about this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll put the link on the website when we post this podcast. It starts off saying, despite the dominance in African running and long distance races such as the 5,000 meter, 10,000 meter, and half marathons and marathons, African Americans themselves who enjoy long distance running are fewer and far between. So basically what they're saying, we all know Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, they're always won by people from Africa, like literally,
Right.
But when it comes down to American-born, blacks,
Right.
it's the representation is not there, which leads to the second paragraph. Representation is important. From a young age, many African American kids see themselves on television running in 100 meters, 200 meters. Many of them have never seen themselves running anything longer than a 400-meter race. Initially, many African American kids are put in those short distance events, and through shorter distance events, they find what they are better suited for is speed races. For Madison Gordon, a senior at the FAMU cross-country team, her journey to cross-country was a lot like other kids, mainly a cheerleader. She began competing in cross-country in middle school. There, she was discovered by a club distance coach, and the rest is history. She said she is grateful for the opportunities that she has had along the way due to her long-distance running career. Quote, cross-country, has afforded me a gift of paying for schooling and blessed me with numerous friends I now consider family, she said. In addition to the opportunities Gordon's received, she says that the running cross-country has helped her increase her mental toughness, which is so true. People don't realize long-distance running is a mental game. I often say 60% of long-distance running is the view because it affects you mentally. Quote, there are times I haven't been running my best and I would become very discouraged, Gordon said, but I am grateful for those moments mentally. Those moments have prepared me on how to handle it and deal with obstacles life throws at me. And you can definitely, long distance running is great for depression. It's great for anxiety. And it gives, like, you can run 10 miles. You'll come home with a lot of solutions to a lot of problems you've been dealing with, because even if you're listening to music, you think about things, right? And so, as a biology pre-med student, Gordon wholeheartedly recognizes the health challenges that African Americans disproportionately have faced. She believes running can significantly benefit African Americans, improving their cardiovascular health and decreasing their risk in hypertension, diabetes, and obesity. And long story short, it goes on to question why it is that, for whatever reason, in the American black communities, that the interest isn't there after the meter races. It's, the half marathons, the more that's starting to change. But what do you think it is initially that it's?
I think it's just not. Yes, we see people finish marathons and like Kenyans and whatever the cases may be, but like it's just not as cool. You know what I'm saying? Like if I'm a kid from New York in the Bronx, like LeBron James is way more somebody I want to be. Lamar Jackson, I want to be like Lamar Jackson. I don't necessarily want to be Kipchoge, right? Because like it's just not that like exciting to look up to him. And then on top of that, it's just like there's just more. It's what's available to you. Like some schools don't even have like a track team, right? Or a long distance cross country team. It's just like, oh, these is what we're able to offer. So
basketball, football, and maybe wrestling.
Yeah, so for you to really get into like cross country or anything like over a 5K, like it's like pulling teeth. You really gotta be looking for it or like find it in that way. Do
you think the fame aspect has anything to do with it? I mean, we all know famous basketball players, baseball players, football players, but how many times you turn on, unless it's the Olympics rolling around and old Subway commercials, when's the last time you turn on a Nike commercial and they're showing a marathon winner or an ultra marathon runner?
They're not.
and how many multi-millionaire marathon runners do we know, or ultra marathon? They get sponsored. They might, they could possibly make $120,000 or more a year, which is a good lifestyle. But compared to other athletes, it's a hell of a lot more working out for a hell of a lot less money.
And if I'm being honest, I don't even know. Like, I can't give you. If you ask me right now, if you don't place in the marathon, do you still get paid? I couldn't give you an answer. I think I will be like, I don't know. I think only the people that place get paid. Like, and the other way you get paid is through endorsements. But
Well, with running,
like
that's almost the only way. I mean, you're not
these
running the
things are
Boston
not
Marathon and getting a
guaranteed.
$10,000 check. I mean, it's pretty much you're doing it for clout and sponsorships.
Right.
So
So I definitely think that's definitely part of it. Like, it's just not something that like is at the top of the menu when it comes to sports you want to do.
if I had like the magic wand, the one thing I wish I could do for people, especially people who are facing depression, high anxiety, whatever, and you've been there, and people, the running high. Well, what's the running high? Running high is something that happens to your brain when you maintain a pace for long distance at time. For me, it's 8 miles. If I can run the same 9-minute pace for 8 miles, only way I can describe it is my brain disconnects from my body goes into overdrive, and
Right.
you start thinking about everything. You're no longer focusing on the race. Your body is literally on cruise control.
You're I explain it like you're a pilot and you put the plane in autopilot, and you're most likely running a route that you already know. So like you really don't need to make much turns or anything.
It's
And
kind of
you
like when
just-
you drive home and you don't remember the last 20 minutes of that drive. It's the same thing. The only difference is when you get home, your wife or your parents looking at it like, have you been drinking? Because my wife looks at it, she's like, what's wrong with you?
because you're like zoned out.
Well, that and you're all energized and you're like talking a mile a minute, like you're like on ecstasy and all that. You have all these endorphins and your brain's disconnected. I remember one time I was running back. I was only 6 or 7 miles, but this is back when I was like 36. I think I'd maintain like a 8-9 minute pace for like 6 miles, and I said, holy shit! I hope I don't ever get like stopped by a cop, like somebody thought I was, because I physically would not be able to stop running. I would have to run in circles. Yes, officer, because my legs will not stop. They would like kick my ass, like try and think I'm running from the cops. Because once you run 8-9 miles and at a consistent pace, which is something else I want to ask you, running in New York, you physically can't stop. If like the cop knocked you down, you'd be like Homer. You'd be walking, you'd be running in that circle with your legs still going, because you can't just stop. It's crazy.
Right.
You're like a train that's just, it's the steam engine's going, and until that steam is burnt off, that hydraulic pump, your legs are going nonstop, and it's crazy what your body can go to. But the gift I wish I could do is take that mind state and put that into somebody who's been sitting on the couch all day, and just let them experience that for half a second. There's no explaining it.
My coach used to get mad at me sometimes because he'll be like, hey, Shaq, do 7, do 6 today, do 8 today. And I end up doing 10 and 11 because I'm like, hey, coach, I was feeling good. I didn't even know I was running that much. Sometimes, even in my videos where I do like the mile check where I'm like, mile 5, 6:38, mile 7, 6. Sometimes I skip miles because my watch goes off and I don't even check it because I'm just so zoned in. I'm just so like possessed at this moment. And I'm just like, not even thinking. I end up doing more than I was supposed to do because the body's just feeling so good and it's just running.
2 more questions before we wrap it up. We went a little long. That's all right. That's the best part about podcasts. There is no time constraints, with the exception of if you got to get off.
Right.
Do you run with earbuds or without?
I do run with earbuds. The thing is, one of the most I'll say like tricks I've learned is to like sing while I'm running or talk while I'm running, and that makes sure I'm checking in like, oh, am I running at a like
The conversation
nice pace right now? Yeah. Am I running at a nice pace right now? Because that helps me a lot to like. That's like a hack for me to be like, okay, I'm chilling, like I can sing, I can talk or something like that, and I'm fine. Yeah, but
And
also
all-
like.
And the other
Sometimes I
benefit,
like to hear David Goggins. Sometimes I like to hear David Goggins in my head.
it's funny you bring that up. 2 things. Running to music, your body will instinctively match the rhythm. So like if you're going to make a playlist, you want to fluctuate so that you're not running that super high beats per minute unless you're doing a
Right.
race. Your body will match that music. I actually run to what they call Americana music. I call it New Age Bluegrass. We're talking like Dead South, Turnpike Troubadours, and for two reasons. One, they have bass in them, but they also have banjos, which is fast. But more importantly, they have lyrical content, and half these songs are 6 minutes long. And so your run feels short when you listen to 15 6-minute songs instead of 38 2-minute songs. So they have a fast pace, so you maintain a fast pace, but they're telling stories in these songs. And so it's almost like listening to an audiobook with music. And then I do go on Spotify and I listen to David Goggins. There's two different playlists on Spotify right now, one with the blue thumbnail and one with the white thumbnail. And it's David Goggins and then a few other people, whoever wrote the books, When You Want It As Bad As You Want to Breathe. I can't remember who did that one. His stuff's on there. And then they got one, I think, that intertwines some.
Yeah, Eric Thomas.
Eric Thomas. Yeah. And then there's one where they mix EDM music with some clips from, I think, Dragon Ball. That one's in there too. So I just got started back into racing. And I was training for this 15K. It's a trail race. It was out at this Christian youth camp, and it's in the Florida woods, and it's all sand. So I was listening to David Goggins, and I listened to David Goggins the race before. And so these were the races I just got back into. And so the Run for the Arts, I ran on February 4th, 11-minute mile. I also blew out my knee a year and a half ago, so I'm coming back from that.
Right,
so
you took a whole year off.
Actually, my last race was 20.
I went fitness within a month.
I went from 2021. I ran my last Savage race in 2021. I didn't run another race until 2024, so I took almost 2.5 years off. I blew my knee out, got hurt, started bass fishing all the time. But anyhow, so when I ran that Publix race Run for the Arts, I was listening to the David Goggins stuff, and I was, my pace was 11:31, but I think they don't have it on here. I think if I would look at my Strava, I think I got a 9-minute mile. I think my mile 2 was like 9 minutes. So I did train some time off. So when I went to do that 15K, it was out in the swamps. I made two mistakes. Now that I've gotten older, I'm starting to develop plantar fasciitis. I have discovered that I have to run 2 miles before my run in order to loosen up.
Okay.
And so I went out on the course and got lost a little bit, and I have it up on my YouTube channel. I ended up doing, I think I ran like 4 miles before this damn 15K even started. But more importantly, I'm out in the swamps. My T-Mobile cut out. So here I am. We were saying run as you train. I've been running, listening to music all these years. And so now I'm out in the woods listening to my fat ass breathe and tromping. No music. Every once in a while, T-Mobile would connect. And then I'd be running. It'd be nice and quiet. And be like, who's going to carry the boat? You're going to do it. And then it cuts out. And then it's just me breathing again. And so when you're used to running to the tempo of the music, and now there's no tempo, that and my 4 mile pre-run, I still finished third in my age group, but I was one person away from it would have been my first ever DFL, my dead fucking last. I almost finished DFL because I blew out all my energy before the race because I got lost on the course. And then I had no music with like 3 times in that 9 miles. I think David kicked in like once or twice. But so
you really found out what you was made of. You really found out what you was made of out there.
And that's kind of where I posted this on my YouTube, I think. No, I haven't posted it yet. It's still on my phone. So Saturday morning I got up and I did 7 miles. And I'm older now. I'm dealing with the fact that I'm not going to get any faster. My hypothesis, that's why you see old people run ultra marathons. We're getting slower, but we can run further. That's why you see like 50-year-old dudes running 100-mile races. We're not getting any faster, but we can run further. But I had this question because once again, I'm part of this slow as fuck run group on Facebook, and a lot of people, the annoying thing is a lot of people get all butthurt when people start posting 8-minute miles. That's not slow. It might be slow to them. They may be used to run 7-minute miles as so it's different for everybody.
That's
but
true.
More importantly, there's people there looking just for motivation, people who never ran before. And people, and I had this thought, it's like, what is a runner? If you just got into this, when do you know you're a runner? Is it 7-minute miles? Is it 10-minute miles? And let me know what you think of this theory I came up with, especially for people just getting into this. My answer is when walking becomes the sanctuary. And let me explain this. When you first get into this, if you never ran in school, you never played sports, maybe you're 20, 30 pounds, you're getting into running late, or you're young and you're wanting to lose weight. When we all start running, it usually starts out with a walk and a jog. You go down the street and you come back, right? You go around the block 3 times, you come back. And while you're getting into this, you're walking and jogging for the first time. All you can think about is the sanctuary of the couch. I just want to go home. I'm done. I just want to go home and chill. Sit on the couch, sit on the bed, take a shower, whatever. And you slowly start developing that tolerance, and slowly you start jogging more, and then next thing you know, you're running, and then your next goal is to run a mile for the first time without stopping. I discovered, and I think a good way, especially for someone who's starting, when are you a runner? You're a runner when the couch is no longer a sanctuary. The walk is a sanctuary. You're no longer focusing on, I can't wait to stop running. No, it's, I just want to walk for 30 seconds. When you get to the point where you're looking for the walk, you maintain that forward momentum. Congratulations. You're now a runner. You're no longer wanting to stop. You're not wanting to sit down. You're just looking forward to the walk. I think you can call yourself a runner when you're just looking forward to the walk. I just want to walk for 30 seconds and I'll start running and let me just walk. I think that's when you're running. Because prior to that, you just want to stop. I'm done. I just want to sit down, call an Uber, and get a ride home. No. So, you may go out and do 10 miles and run a lot of it, but you're maintaining that forward momentum, and at no point do you physically stop and give up. I think a good way to judge when you become a runner is when the walk becomes a sanctuary instead of the sitting down.
Yeah, I agree with that 1,000%. I've never caught an Uber home, any of like that. If like I feel like I'm not feeling well, my stomach is messed up or something, I'll probably turn around. But as far as like calling Uber and just not walking or finishing it, like you got to finish it somehow. And that's what I feel like. You made a good point there where like, yeah,
if I remember driving down the street and I'm seeing somebody heavy set running, I'm all thumbs up. I'm honking, fucking go get it. Yeah. Go get it, because you're out there trying to do something about it. I would suggest you not do it at noon on Saturday, at the hottest part of the day. Maybe wait until like 7:30 at night, but at least you're out there doing it. It motivates, it pumps me up when I see people who, are clearly starting their journey. But one last question. Being in New York, how the hell are you running long distances without coming to intersections and having to stop your pace and your momentum every 3 blocks? I'm lucky where I live. I can run from here to Starbucks down the road, if I take the long way, is about 4 miles. So I can do an 8-mile loop and only have to come to one stoplight. I'm only jogging in place one time. How the hell do you do that in New York without having to stop every 2 blocks at a stoplight and kill your pace and your forward momentum?
If you see in my captions it say King of New York, and I'm telling you right now, I run like I'm the king of the city. Hey, sometimes there is times where I have to stop, where it's like it's probably like a crazy intersection, but most of the time I'm looking at the light. I'm trying to time it perfectly, and most of my runs, I would say like if I do like today, I did a 7-mile run. Probably like 3 miles was probably like in the street where I had to like beat the traffic light and stuff like that. So most of my runs are not mainly in the street, but when it is, I try to time the light perfectly. I try to like run around cars. You know how you like sometimes you have that weird timing where it's like you in the car and it's like you like as soon as the car passed, like I'm running right behind it. Like
that's getting so much harder. I'm 46. I grew up skateboarding in the 80s.
It's an Olympic sport.
I grew up skateboarding in the 80s and 90s. No one had cell phones. No one was looking at their phones. And so I grew up skateboarding in the streets, parking lots. People paid attention. And so as long as both parties are maintaining their forward momentum at the current rate of speed and they're maintaining where they're going, we both shall pass and go along with our lives.
Right.
The thing that drives me crazy, especially down here, is the fact that no one uses their turn signals. And it's like, look, if you use your turn signal,
it's the easiest.
We know what your intentions are.
We know, right?
So when I'm running and I'm maintaining my pace, and all of a sudden you're sitting in the street, just sitting there because it turns out you want to turn. If your turn signal is on, I could either slow down or speed up.
Speed up.
We have this social construct. We have this relationship for this given moment of time. And if you participate in this relationship by letting me know what your intentions are, I can accommodate you. But because I have no idea what the hell you're doing, now you're mad because you're saying, turn on your turn signal and I can help you get on with your life and I can get on my life and we both can get going. But if you're sitting there and I don't know what you want to do, and by the way, I'm 6 miles into this. I'm locked in, you know.
Right. I try. Sometimes I even try to like make eye contact or like try to get like a head nod. Like, I know you got the light, but let me pass.
Or further, thank you. Here, if you guys don't run and you just listen to this podcast, if you're driving on the street and you're making a turn and a runner waves you on, don't do this. No, you go. Let them take control. Once again, they may be 12, 15 miles into this. They're trying to, they're an autopilot. If they wave you on, go ahead and go. Don't do the, oh, no, stop, because then you, it's a fucking nightmare. Let them go, because chances are you'll go. And as Shaq said, they'll maintain. And as you pass, he'll run right past your taillights.
Right.
He's not stopping. You're not stopping. You're both moving on with your life.
Right.
And all it requires is you to go, with the turn signal. You're not getting down on your dashboard and hot wiring look, I get it. If you're turn signal, you got to get underneath the dashboard and touch no, you got to switch and you either go up or down with your index finger. It doesn't burn a lot of calories. So you do that. We'll say, go ahead, fella. You go on with your life and we'll run behind you.
And when I'm driving too, I'm looking out for runners. I'm like, hey, I already know what type of time he or she is on. I'm going to let them do their thing. Like, I'm looking out for runners because I know how it is. I know the struggle.
Yep. Shaq, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on YouTube. My Instagram is Shaq TV. It will be Shaq_TV3. And my TikTok will be Shaq TV all together.
What are you training for now? What's next?
I'm training for Chicago. Big news, people. Big news. I'm training for Chicago. I'm running sub-3. I feel like that's going to be one of the accomplishments of my life that I can tell my kids, like, hey, your pops was once that guy. Probably still is that guy, but
what are you going to have to trim? We know historically you run about a 720. What are you going to hit sixes? What's your goal pace?
So I got to hit 650 for 26 miles. 26.2. So
real quick, I know I keep threatening to let you go. Give us a quick synopsis. What was running the London Marathon like?
Quick synopsis. Straight jokes. Like, these people do not take it serious. Everywhere there was people in costumes. It was like a big party, honestly. New York has the best crowd, hands out. But as far as people in the race, the craziest people you ever seen in your life. They just didn't take it serious. There were people dressed up in a school bus. There was people tied together. There was people drinking. It was just crazy, and I loved it.
It's insane how somebody holding a sign and cheering can actually motivate you on mile 18. Just
right.
You know, people who've never done it, like, what are these people out here cheering for? I remember when I done the Marco Island Half Marathon, 8 miles into it. There's just out in the middle of a road in the middle of Florida, 2 guys with a guitar amplifier just playing their guitar. And it helps. It so helps. But
to get you through the pain cave.
Thank you so much for coming on, getting through the pain cave, definitely. Thank you so much for coming on. You guys want to support what we do here, head over to failed-2-fail.com or d-410.com. So sign up and subscribe on our Patreon. It goes a long way to support what we do here. It's only $1 a month. You get access to exclusive content from our other podcasts as well. Or simply head over to youtube.com, look up D410 Media. I do have my different playlist on there. Unlike a lot of people who have single content on their stuff, I'm a dynamic person. I have multiple talents. I have multiple hobbies. So I have playlists. Just like a TV station has different shows, I had different playlists. So I have my poles and paddle with our bass fishing. I got the Failed-2-Fail with all the OCR running and my training and all that stuff. And so we have plenty of content. My World War II podcast is up there as well. So head over to D410 Media on YouTube. Like and subscribe. Just watch some videos. Doesn't cost you a thing. Goes so far to help us with what we're doing here. And as always, go over to failed-2-fail.com. Find a page for this episode. You can see what our boy Shaq looks like. You can get links to all his social medias and photos and all that good stuff. Thank you guys so much, and we will talk to you all later.
This has been a Digital 410 production.